it is important to start out by saying that what international maritime law actually is. So it is a body of international law which is applicable in situations of armed conflict to preserve a minimum of humanity during warfare. And it tries to do so in basically two different ways. One is to impose a limit on the use of certain weapons and of certain tactics during warfare. So this is the part which prohibits, for instance, the use of incendiary weapons or explosive bullets. And the other branch of IHL, which is actually the more relevant for our purposes, is the one which protects certain categories of persons from the negative impact of the armed conflict. And these categories of persons are those who are no longer participating in hostilities. So those who are not participating in hostilities are, for instance, civilians, and those who are no longer participating in hostilities are wounded or sick or shipwrecked member of the armed forces. So since there is an obligation on the parties to an armed conflict to guarantee that the health conditions of individuals which are affected by the conflict are not negatively affected by hostilities, there is also, of course, an obligation to protect those who are in charge of providing medical assistance to, as I said, those who are no longer or not involved in hostilities. So this means that the medical or health personnel are protected and health facilities are protected, let's say, indirectly, because they are functional, they are indispensable for the protections of civilians or fighters who are no longer fighting, so to say. It is, in other words, a sort of subsidiary protection, which is granted to ensure that the protection of those who are primarily concerned, so the victims of the armed conflict. We should also point out what the definition of medical personnel is under IHL, because of course it does not encompass any doctor. So a plastic surgeon, for instance, would not per se be protected as a medical personnel, although he's a civilian, so he would enjoy protection as a civilian. So medical personnel includes any person who is assigned by a party to the conflict exclusively to medical purposes. Okay, so these persons need to have an exclusive task, which is that of searching for or collecting or transporting or treating wounded, sick or shipwrecked individuals. Or also they must be engaged, or they should be engaged in the prevention of disease, or in the administration or operation of medical units or medical transports. So the definition does not only include doctors, but also any other person which is actually carrying out medical activities. So nurses, midwives, pharmacists. It is a non-exhaustive list, so to say. So everyone who has who contributes to the medical functions within an armed conflict should be considered as protected as medical personnel.